Hey everybody, Josh RV Nerd of Bish's RV here, down at Forest River today, getting a look at a model I haven't seen for a number of years. Way back when in the history of this channel, I had a chance to record one of these, but they have updated and upgraded significantly since then. When you hear RPod, historically, this is what you saw, and it's funny because when they first came out with this, everybody and their brother made just a hard carbon copy clone of this thing, but they could never seem to kill the king, and this thing is still out there, still humming today, when a lot of other builders have quit trying to compete in this segment. So why was RPod able to weather that storm? What has made them so good? What has helped them maintain that cult following that nobody else was able to really achieve with a camper like this? Well, little things like this is a small, lightweight, very easily towable thing. It's a 6.5 foot body. So, you know, if you got a mid-size pickup like Ford Ranger, you see right around this thing pretty darn easy. I still recommend towing extension mirrors, but you still see around it pretty easy. But it's still a full 8 foot wide axle. So even though it's a single axle, which some people get really spooky about, the fact that the wheels sit outside of the body of the RV gives it fantastic towing stability. The Indiana-built RPods will have Goodyear radials. We're looking at a Hood River edition, which is made out of Oregon, and it actually has like Westlake Mud Legend kind of tires, which just gives it a little bit stronger sidewall integrity in case you do take this thing off the paved roads, you know. The underbelly's fully enclosed. The Hood River edition also has tank heating pads. As you've kind of seen over my shoulder, it has like the full nose of this thing opens right up and says hello to the neighbors with that dual pane Euro acrylic style window, which of course has bug shades and blackout screens. And of course you can lock it down so it's not flapping around in transit and all that kind of stuff. But they've kept with the times. They've pushed the needle forward. You know, they were one of the earlier adopters of things like Asdel. They've got the solar package on the roof here. They just kept sticking with it when everyone else kept trying to cut corners and fall off. And I think that's the difference on this versus all the other people that just couldn't hack this segment right here. Now, the trick with a little RV like this, for someone like me who doesn't like to use wide angle lenses, like I gave you a wide angle preview of the bathroom very quickly. But it makes some of this a little bit difficult. So I'm going to have to really swing the camera around to help you fully connect all the dots, I think. I do like the window coverage in the small space, though. That helps. And the guy who cut the slide fascia wasn't drunk. They do an intentional simulated kind of live edge on the slides to make it look as though it were like, you know, real wood or something like that, which it's not. That is a 12-volt compressor fridge, by the way. Also, it's not a stovetop side splash, but the sink cover kind of stores next to the stove against the fridge wall, and it can sort of help that way a little bit. This is a very classic small, lightweight, in the boating industry, it would be known as a galley slide, but, you know, kitchen slide in the RV industry. The thing here is it creates an interesting, weird, but functional counter space if you can plan accordingly. Because you look at it, you're like, what counter space? Well, it's weird, but there's actually like an extra 9 inches deep counter space in the back of this. So back there, to me, feels like that'd be a perfect spot for like a toaster or a small coffee maker. They put a couple power outlets back there. Like, there's some interesting ways that it could possibly be used. There's not really space in this for a traditional propane oven, though. So what they do instead is they outfit their kitchens with a air fryer, convection, electric oven, microwave, all-in-one kind of unit, which seems to be gaining popularity in the industry. You know, propane ovens were really never available in these before, but as in the rest of the RV marketplace, there are more and more people who are saying, you know, we never use an oven. Can we get an RV without one? And more builders are going that way. Now, it doesn't work very well for a lot of boondock folks. I know my southern cousins, they like their biscuits in the morning. I get it. It's not for everybody. I'm not trying to convince you into or out of it. I like that power outlet down there. Power outlets next to a seating space is something that you will find useful, but it is very likely you might overlook it and not realize how useful they are if you don't have one. Another thing that's deceptively good here is this guest sleeper space. This RV has a 6.5 foot wide body. You got to subtract 3 inches off of that because you have an 1.5 inch sidewall on either side. So you have about a 6'2" long sleeper right here. That is similar in size to the residential sizing of, say, like a full-size bed. It's not a queen or anything like that. And, you know, there's not normal sheets and mattresses and stuff to fit it, but it's not a terrible thing. Blackout roller shades are another thing that were not here the last time I was on this RV. And in case you're curious, there were these kind of black clips sticking down above the dinette previously. Those are there so that the blackout roller shade actually stays snug against the wall. Otherwise, it would dangle down and there'd be like 6 inches of sunlight traveling all the way from outer freaking space to stab you in the eyes in the morning. Here's the thing, though. That doesn't have to necessarily be exclusively a dining table. I don't know that I would say it's going to be as comfortable as a sofa, but nothing says you can't just take the table out and have a little bit of an open lounge space depending on what you're doing and how you're camping. That also, conveniently enough, makes it much easier for me to navigate the RV in this video because, again, not using the wide angles, I got to really shove myself off into corners. You see the fella on the phone in this fancy white kicks over there. That's Mr. Ben. He is essentially Mr. RPod. He's one of the fellas that helped us arrange this today. So if you appreciate the footage that we're seeing, maybe leave him a little note to say thank you, Mr. Ben, and we'll just keep on cooking in the meantime here. I like the location of the fuse box. That's the thing with the blue sticker on it right down there, right next to the door. You know, when the slide out closes, it's not going to block anything. It's not going to be difficult to get to. I think it might still be a 15,000 BTU air conditioner, even in this little box. I need to kind of verify that. Sometimes when a manufacturer also makes a small series of campers, they'll offer they'll put a smaller air conditioner on it. I'll see if I can double check before this footage goes live. In case you're curious, that is a 12 volt, I almost said compressor TV. I'm so used to smashing the words 12 volt and compressor together because of refrigerators. That's a 12 volt smart TV. I don't know if there's a compressor involved. I suspect probably not. Oh, look at that. That's another interesting thing for a tiny, tiny camper. Still has the RPod signature central vacuum system going on down there, making this extremely easy to clean. If you got big dogs, it's going to get awful tight in here awful fast, but if you got a little one running around, that can help make things, you know, easy to clean. No floor vents also. It's not going to be a centrally ducted heat system. This is a nice touch, I think. Built right into the slide is this wardrobe and whether it's kitchen drawers or personal dresser space combo storage right here. I think that's a really smart use of that space right next to the bed, because otherwise you'd have no personal like clothing storage in this. The bathroom, though, it's only 6.5 foot wide. I'm not expecting miracles. I'm not expecting this to be like a giant luxury fifth wheel, but the bathroom is very tight. There's just no bones about it. It just very much is very tight. There's not a lot of linen storage here in this bathroom either. Some kind of, I don't know, little linen cabinet over here would be nice, but I mean, it's a tiny RV. You don't need a lot of linens, I suppose. You do also have the towel hangers over there to dry everything out, which is nice. Up top, you've got the big XL vent fan to get some big airflow going in this sucker, which I think a lot of people really appreciate. And my head is going to be all the way up in the skylight. Actually, I think the top of my peach fuzz was scraping the skylight when I stepped up in there. But it is a full what's called dry bath, where it's a separate toilet and shower, and they even have a dedicated sink for the bathroom in here. Some folks don't care about that. Some folks really don't like to wash their bathroom hands in the kitchen, though. And that down there, that's the griddle stuff that we're going to see outside of the RV. I just haven't set it up yet, and it looks like it ships in the shower. So now you know. By the way, that's one of those things. Be real careful on that. There's going to be some dealers who will try to keep that grill and sell it to you after the fact. It is a standard part of this. Now, I wanted to get down here also because, like, first of all, the household outlets are nice, but that's your furnace. Under here, inside of that cavity, it's a really weird position for it, and I want to let you know so that you don't fully block this off with like cargo down here and stuff it full. Because if you try to kick your heater on, you're going to have the furnace blowing directly onto whatever you shove down there. So kind of keep that in mind. But it should keep your butt warm if you're laying here. And this is a 60 by 80 true queen bed. Now, by the way, the dinette poles I had to kind of get someplace out of the way. I didn't feel like shoving them up the old prison wallet to get them out of the way for the video, and this made about as much sense very quickly right there. Little TV hookup around the corner with the little 12-volt power plug. When I was a kid, we called them a cigarette lighter, but we don't seem to do that anymore, which is fine. It's kind of funny how language evolves. You know, for most of the people watching this, in our lifetime, language has evolved. You don't roll down a window anymore. You don't dial a phone anymore, but we still like to use those words. I've just always been very fascinated by the evolution of language. You probably don't care. Let's close the slide. And I'm sure you probably expected as much, but when you have a very narrow body camper and any kind of slide out, especially one with a kitchen that really sticks out in your face, it's pretty difficult to navigate. Now, if my life depended on it, I could squeeze my skinny chicken legs and dad bod through this thing, and I could get up to that front bed without opening anything. I could probably get into that bathroom, but it's going to be a squeeze. So, you know, if you're you know, a toothpick, you're going to fit into this thing just fine. If you're a more fuller figured person, you're going to need to pop that slide open. So, you know, that's how the road mode shakes out on this one. I appreciate how we show you all that and shoot you straight. Maybe bump that little subscribe button if you're new with us here. And let's see what it takes to tow this thing around. Here's one of the very interesting things I've noticed. Again, historically, this is one of the very few number of new RPods I ever had a chance to touch. This is just obviously a significantly newer version of it. Actually, if you go looking for that old footage, I was much thinner, had a little bit more hair even. I had quite a few less years on me at that point. But if I remember right, this floor plan back then was like 2,700-ish pounds or something like that. So I took a bit of a venture over here. This is a shopping RV pro tip for you, by the way. When you are looking at RVs, don't exclusively trust the things like the weights that you see listed on a dealer's website. Even our own, we tend to list a lot of brochure weights. If you look at that sticker that has the VIN number on it real big, it says dry weight 3,153 pounds. This specific RV, as it was built, has about, 1,600 pounds of available cargo on top of the 3,153 pound empty dry weight. So this RV has actually gained a chunk of weight since the last time I saw it. I'm not mad about that though, because very little of it is equipment and most of it is structural. They have bulked up things on this RV quite a bit, because if they hadn't, you'd have basically essentially no cargo carry capacity available. Now, you do not necessarily have to have the front side of this thing gaping wide open to the neighbors. I mean, maybe you're camping in the bit of the wilderness and you feel like putting on a free show for the squirrels. I don't know your life. I don't, and I'm not judging. I don't care. I just know that that's not necessarily for everybody. Now, I'm probably going to pinch my hand a little bit because I'm doing this one-handed, but all you got to do is just kind of take the tension off of those, drop it and flop it, and there you go. Now, on the inside, there's like 6 clamps that hold that sucker shut. What I would recommend doing when you are camping is put something like on the dashboard of your car or on your keys that says window, so that before you go driving down the road, you remember, make sure you latch down that window, because that is gonna suck if you forget. That is also not really just a conventional window. It's a dual pane Euro acrylic style window, which has 2.5 times more insulative quality, even as compared to dual pane windows from like a fancy pants fifth wheel. It's a very, very cool thing. What's also nice is under it, like under the bed on the inside, there was that little kind of storage chunk. This isn't a full pass-through. This floor plan doesn't quite exactly allow for that, but it does have a pretty big chunk of space. Now, if stuff slides to the back there, it might be tricky to access, so you might want to get some kind of tote or something to shove back there to be easier to reach. Hot and cold outside utility shower right above the propane hooker, which is the technical term, I think, when the gas comes off the side. Although when the gas comes out the backside, that's known as a propanus. So sort of keep that in mind. Moving on, we are looking at a Hood River edition, and it changes a couple things and adds a couple things. And it's very easy to know if you're looking at a Hood River edition, which is the name of the RPods made out of the Oregon facility, because it says Hood River edition right on it. Pretty mystifying, right? They changed the tires to something that has a little stronger sidewall integrity in case you do take this thing off a paved road. You gain that max air bathroom vent cover that you can see peeking up over the roof line. You also gain holding tank heat pads on one of these, although the bellies of these will be enclosed, whether it's Indiana or Oregon production. Working our way around, one of the tricks with these old teardrop-ish style RPods is they don't have a lot of flat horizontal wall space on the sides to give you a big awning area. So a little bit of a pro tip I have for you is consider bringing along like a 10 by 10 easy up screen room to help keep the bugs off you. It's just kind of one of those things when you get into a small camper, something's got to kind of eventually give, and that's just sort of one of those things here. The spare tire is actually mounted on a Class 2 receiver. So if you want to add a bike rack or something like this, you could probably get a 2-bike rack that would fit on here. You'd have to relocate the spare tire, but that could be done. You could probably source and figure out a way around that. Now, the front pass-through the front storage wasn't actually a pass-through. Over here, you've got a little bit of a pass-through junk in the trunk situation going on. And when I mentioned that 10 by 10 easy up screen room, you're thinking, yeah, well, where am I going to shove that? Well, right there you go. You got a perfect little spot for something like that. Another nice little touch is the fact that we do have a sewer hose caddy tube right here. And this floor plan does benefit for being a, no, this might not be a single sewer outlet. That looks like a gray tank outlet right there for the kitchen. I do like that little motion courtesy light. Yeah, up front here, just in front of the tire, we do have our black tank outlet for the bathroom. So I guess kind of keep that in mind. That's why I like to take the time to not assume, but walk around and check that kind of stuff out. That is an on-demand, tankless on-demand water heater up front, by the way. Also up front, we do have front stabilizer jacks. When you are in a single axle execution, it's not uncommon to run into things that don't have front stabilizers. This makes the RV very jiggly. Now, real quick, the people, I swear, almost every single day on some Facebook group, somebody looks at that orange antenna thing and they go, what's this? And without fail, there's always somebody in a Facebook group that's like, it's an FBI listening device. And that guy is me. I'm the guy. I'm the one that says that every single time because I think it's very, very funny. By the way, before I forget, that is a Schwintek slide system over there. Now, some people get freaked out about that. What we're looking at, this is how Schwintek slide's supposed to be used. Small, shallow, lightweight, straight in, straight out, no nonsense. The problem, one of the biggest problems I think with Schwintek slides is that they have been overused and abused in ways they were never supposed to be used. And unfortunately, they developed a bit of a reputation. But when used like this, they're not a problem. So let me know what you think. Let me know, a couple notes if you don't mind, where you feel they nailed it, where you feel maybe they didn't. What should they never change, and what could they potentially improve in your opinion? And while you're doing that, I'll mention the links in the description if you want to double check pricing and availability at our Bish's locations that carry the RPods for you. Let us know. But one of the cool things is one of our stores that we have is in Indiana, very close to where RPod is made. What that means is that we could basically ship you one anywhere in the nation, and you're not going to have to pay for double shipping, because you're only paying to get it there once, not paying to get to a dealership and then bounce again. Just essentially as close to straight from the factory to you as we can possibly manage. And or you're welcome to collect it right from our store. And my experience has been, if you do choose to make a road trip to pick up an RV from a long distance, you'll cut out about 2/3 of the factory shipping cost. It can flex a little bit depending on where you stay and what you eat and that kind of stuff. But for the most part, that could save you $1 potentially coming to visit our team there in Anderson, Indiana. And short of that, when you're ready, we're ready. And until next time, take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.